Welcome to Cover Slam, the show we play 30k, and no other games exist other than Titanicus, but you'll have to convince GW it exists. With me is Clarence. We're doing 2,500 of 30k. We could tell you what edition, but you might stop watching, so we'll see.
This is the resurrection of a long-standing tradition, which was we talked about terrain for like 20 minutes before a game.
It's in the name of the channel.
Yeah, so it's the name of the channel. We think it's very important. We thought it was important back in 5th. It's now, I don't know, whatever edition it is, 11th edition of their various 40k games. It's important. The first thing we house rule, we make up, is can't melt through walls unless there's a door to go through. So like this ruin down over here, you see there's a nice little door. That's where your models could enter and exit from. Means if you can't fit through the door due to your base size or your like height, you can't fit through the door at all. So, really emphasis.
It gives infantry and dreadnoughts the chance to maybe run away from, or dreadnoughts, Terminators, the chance to run away from maybe a dreadnought or a
the
character,
dreadnought, exactly,
or lure a character into a trap, maybe.
Yeah, helps emphasize pathing. Which is going to be a common theme here.
Speaking of
this big ruin.
Not a ruin. This landing pad.
Yeah, landing pad. Similar to a lot of our stuff. You have to be able to get up on it. And only infantry can really get up on it.
Infantry and I guess dreadnoughts.
Yeah. Being a little liberal with the ladders to...
We're going to pretend those stairs are sort of on all sides in terms of getting up and down isn't difficult.
Yeah.
But a vehicle like a tank or something would just have to drive around it.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Vehicles can't drive up onto this. They can't drive up onto that. They can't drive up onto any... Roofs or over any...
Looking at you, Nova Open.
Yeah, any big old, clearly not drive overable pieces of terrain.
And those are good examples of just impassable ass terrain.
Yeah.
4+ cover, but they don't count as ruins for stuff like stealth ruins or whatever, right? For us, only the ruins count as ruins.
Yeah. Vehicles can drive over these small barricades, and dreadnoughts can smash through them.
And they take a test per piece they want to run over, basically.
Yeah. For every piece you want to bust through, you take it dangerous. Dreadnoughts can instead choose to take it difficult and not risk the dangerous terrain test to avoid getting immobilized. But those are the kind of things that vehicles can drive over.
Good reason to have dozer blades too, because you'd be re-rolling your ones on there.
Yeah. But yeah, vehicles can drive over this. They can't drive over that. They can't drive over that. I can put my Spartan on top.
They can drive over. There's a couple trees in the corners.
Yeah, maybe some low trees.
We tend to treat those just like the barricades, 5+ cover, and you can drive over them.
And the last kind of ground terrain the vehicles might interact with are other vehicle-looking pieces of terrain. I think there's only
we got 3 of them, I think.
3?
Yeah.
So those are wrecks, and any pre-placed terrain or wrecked vehicles has an armor value that you can target with a shooting attack or ram through. Any subsequent lance or pen explodes it. But until that point, they're also impassable. So if your Spartan gets wrecked like here, it's going to block off the entire driveway.
Which helps slow things down and means the enemy have to take out the wreck to clear the path. We'd use that for all wrecks. The Spartan in this case would have its full armor value. It would not be armor 10. But all these wrecks are just armor 10 all around. We want them to be very easy to take out with even a couple crack grenades. The risk, though, is they blow up. Yeah. So we've had we've had Terminators die to exploding wrecks. It's always fun.
Yeah. So that's kind of like our interactable terrain. Kind of going back to our ruins. The flat ground on the ruins, like the ruin levels themselves, they aren't difficult because they're super flat. They also aren't area terrain. For us, we have lots of coping around the edges in 2 to 3 directions. That's what's going to be granting your cover save, the obscurement from being behind the terrain, not nebulous area.
To touch on that too, a perfect example is right near Cleary, this bridge. If you're up there, you're pretty safe because there's coping, but if you get attacked from either side, if guys come up, they can shoot down that whole lane and you're getting no cover.
Or barrage.
Or barrage, just
Lands in the
exactly.
middle.
Precisely, yeah.
Behind the intervening terrain. But yeah, not difficult on the levels, but going up and down the levels is a difficult terrain test. It's usually the 3 inches plus like the one to actually be an inch over. In this case, it's like 6 to get up because it's such a super tall building. And it's also worth pointing out that we can only kind of climb levels on the sides without coping because that's just...
So how that would work functionally, say this building, if we're going to assault up to a unit on top, there's really just the one side you can climb up and assault from. So pretty much the entire assault will be decided from there.
Yeah.
We do allow fighting between, I think, one floor, provided there's no room to get up. But you have to know who is fighting who between floors. And that extends a little bit, although that's not as high as a ruin. If we were fighting in between levels there, we just have to know who's fighting who.
Yeah.
But that's normal par for the course for 30k and for knowing who's fighting who.
Yeah. But again, like the coping restriction on getting up, again, it's the pathing being important for us. Just like the impassable nature of most of our terrain.
The only other detail, I think, is we have these nice little swamps. Some people would choose to play those as maybe like a 5+ area terrain.
Yeah.
We play them as absolutely nothing. They're not even difficult. They're just there to look pretty.
Yeah.
The area terrain, the problem is you can't flank it. You at all sides they're protected. Even barrage landing in it, they get their save, unless there's no cover. So.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Clarence?
Not for the table. I guess notice it's kind of on a 45-degree angle, slightly less. It's not
a little off there. That's the battle mat doing it.
It's the battle mat, but also we kind of don't like having direct lanes of fire directly from the get-go.
Right.
This one's a little open, honestly, for what we usually play on, but it's still pretty limited.
Yeah, and part of that would be usually where this landing pad is, there'd probably be more similar sized ruins.
Yeah.
So stuff like maybe Spartans or the bigger tanks can probably still exchange fire over top, which is interesting. It's different for us.
But it means like one tank will take up a fire line.
Yes, yeah.
You can't have kind of everything in their dog shooting down one path at the enemy army. You'll notice no windows on bottom floors.
Yeah, we've been very careful to block them all off. That's very purposeful. For us, a lot of our infantry, we want them to be able to hide in a building if they don't want to be up on a roof shooting bolters.
And that kind of brings us to the last thing. So unlike the rules in 7th, where a barrage will hit the top floor and it'll hit the middle floor and hit the bottom floor, we use the rules from 6th edition, where the barrage will only hit the floor it's over. So, for example, if you're aiming at a unit on the ground, it scatters, let's say here, and there's a unit over there, it'll only hit the floor that's directly underneath.
And we also make we can only target a unit if, on a 2-dimensional looking down, one guy is maybe sticking out from that floor. If they're all hidden, that unit cannot be targeted.
Yeah, so you can use the floors to hide from the barrage, just like God intended when he wrote 6th edition and 5th. 7th edition is really an aberration, but people just played with it forever, and they think that's how blasts and barrage is supposed to work with this style of rules. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So we'll reveal that we're not playing 2nd edition 30k. We're playing 1st edition 30k. But this whole video, I would say, is still relevant to people considering playing 2nd edition, because if you don't have a conversation about terrain, you're going to have a lot of problems.
Yeah, and definitely for anyone who's trying it from 9th, that going through doors or walls on ruins and stuff, it'll seem really familiar, because it's makes the game better. Actually, as I'm sure you
But
know.
you won't find those rules in your new 2.0 rulebook.
Yeah.
In fact, the rulebook is very sparse on terrain information.
Yes, it's very, very bereft, because it largely took the 7th edition rules and just kind of like tweaked it a little for the terrain. But yeah, definitely use the terrain rules in some or whole for regardless of edition.
It will improve the combined arms turn-based war game that it is we're playing, and may see people take a variety of units as opposed to just a bunch of skew lists.
Yeah.
If dreadnoughts are good, but they can't be everywhere, or they can't run up everything, or
Yeah.
Maybe you want, skimmers or jump troops every once in a while if you can't just march across the field and beat face.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're back with armies and stuff.
My 2,500 point Trader Night Lord list. It's using Terror Assault for the Rite of War. My Warlord is Sevatar with the Artificer Armor and Special Weapon upgrade. He, of course, has his locked-in Master of Ambush Warlord trait. For troops, I have 2 Terror Marine units with Volkite, Full Melta Bombs, and Artificer Armor on the Sergeants. I have a Plasma Support Squad with Artificer Armor on the Sergeant. I have a Deep Strike enabled Combi Plasma Cataphracta unit with Power Axes. I have a non-Deep Strike Cataphracta unit with 1 Chain Fist and 4 Power Fists. They have a Spartan for dedicated transport and has Armored Ceramite, extra armor, the standard upgrades, the Flare Shield, the Dozer Blade, that kind of thing.
The invisible dozer.
Yeah, the invisible Dozer Blade that you can't take anymore in second. So anyone who did get third-party kits, sucks for you. I have a Contemptor with 2 Gravs in his fists. There's no extra armor because I had no points. I have a Contemptor with double carries. Same thing. They're Talon, but first you can split it off. So
no extra armor?
No, I didn't have the points. I needed the points for other stuff. Yeah. So a Sakaran with 2 last sponsons and just the top accelerator. Again, there's no Dozer Blade. There's no extra armor. There's nothing else that you'd pay for it. I have 2 separate javelins. They both have cyclones and multi-melta. No points for any rockets, plus they're not modeled. And that's my list. It's 2,500 points on the dot.
And you may have said I may have missed it. Was there a certain Rite of War? Or?
Yeah, so it's Terror Assault.
Right,
so
troops,
yeah, it makes them troops, it makes the nighttime kind of guaranteed and longer and all sorts of fun.
I know you said he comes with Master of Ambush. I guess just tell them what it does.
So yeah, for anyone who hasn't
played 1.0.
Yeah, or it's been a while. It allows him and 3 other infantry units to get the Infiltrate special rule. It's very helpful. It's very strong. It no longer exists in second for a reason.
And we put the house rule called Fear the Flank, so anything coming in from reserve, not from Deep Strike, and not in a transport, can assault.
Yeah, so
those outflanking Terror Marines are very scary.
Yeah, and that's also kind of back in second and also as a part of 5th edition, so it might seem familiar to those who enjoyed the new edition.
That's 2,500 points, Night Lord.
Yeah, on the nose.
2,500 points of Iron Warriors, Sons of the Sigillite. They're Iron Warriors with a cooler paint job. So, starting with my HQ, I've got a Praetor on a jet bike. He's got a Paragon Blade, Power Fist, Digital Weapons, Power, or Melt a Bomb. And I think that's it. And of course, the 4+ invulnerable save, I can't remember what it's called. That was it, Iron Halo. And then Moralites, I've got unit of Cataphracti Terminators. They have 1 Power Fist, 4 Chain Fists, and a Plasma Blaster. Behind them, I've got 5 units of non-Tartaros looking Tartaros Terminators. They have 3 Chain Fists, 2 Power Blades, and a Plasma Blaster. Behind them, I've got a squadron of 2 Saber tanks, both with the autocannons and multi-meltas up top. Back behind them, I've got a Contemptor Dreadnought with Keres, Chain Fist, and inside the Chain Fist, he's got a Graviton gun. Back there, I've got in the corner a Javelin Land Speeder on its own with Cyclone Missile Launchers, 200 killer missiles, and a multi-melta. And beside it, I've got a squadron of 2 armed identically, so Cyclones, multi-meltas, and Hunter Killers. In front of them, I've got a unit of quad guns with Shatter Shells, Strength 8, AP4 Sunder, pretty good. Next to the speeders, I've got a, help me out, Clary. Medusa, thank you.
That tank doesn't exist in second.
Yeah, exactly. So Medusa with, I think the extra bolter on top. I think that's it. I think it comes with a heavy bolter.
Yeah.
I may have also given it something else, but I'll have to check my list. Next to it, I've got a Scorpius Whirlwind with Combi Flamer, because I ran out of Combi Plasma. And then next to that, I've got a Vindicator laser destroyer with a combi plasma. In front of that, we've got the core of the army, 3 identical units of tactical marines. The sergeants all have artificer armor and melted bombs, and each unit has the additional chainsword upgrades, so they have extra close combat attacks. And each rhino is equipped with a dozer blade and an additional combi plasma. They look a little different, but hey, those are combi plasmas. So yeah, I did not mention my warlord trait, which will be Conqueror of Cities, I believe.
Yeah.
Super shocking, I know. Basically, it gives my army and even the vehicles stealth ruins.
And move through cover.
And move through cover, yes. So that's very important if I have to climb up or down a ruin. And just in general, even if I'm a little in cover from a ruin, getting potentially 3+ cover is very good.
It's very good.
And considering we'll be fighting at night, probably it might help me out a little bit. So yeah, that's 2,500 points, and we'll see you back in a moment. I have deployed. We ended up with Dawn of War, so this is me, this whole line from left to right, as we can see. Let's start all the way over here. Got my Tartaros Terminators here, very close to that of one of the 3 objectives. Got a unit of 10 tacticals inside this Rhino. Got my quad guns here. Moving over, got my Vindicator laser destroyer with a pretty good view. Behind or next to him is my Contemptor. Unit of Terminators here. Medusa. My leaders here. Whirlwind Scorpius, another 10-man tacticals and a Rhino near that objective. Got another 10-man tacticals and a Rhino here. And lastly, my sabres. There's 3 objectives in play, so one there, and one just under the floor of that building there. And yeah, so that's it for me. We'll go on to my reserves. Okay, so in reserve, I've got these 2 units of javelin speeders. I've got this single unit outflanking, and then this squadron of 2 outflanking. And that is it for my reserves.
The Nightward deployment, as I mentioned in the army list, Sevatar gives a bunch of units infiltrate, so things are a little not quite within 12. So Sevatar, the Terminators, and the Spartan are up a little further than 12 because the dedicated unit used it to transport. And anyway, so they're there. I have the Carries Contemptor kind of behind the landing pad. I have the Sakaran next to it, kind of also hiding behind some terrain. I have one of my 2 javelins behind more terrain. Moving down over here, it's the angle is pretty rough. I have the Contemptor, I have a javelin, and then under the floor I have 5 plasma supports. Again, everything's trying to use terrain, try to get a cover saver out of line of sight because Ben has choice on whether he wants to go first or second, so I'm trying to be as protected as possible. But let's go to my reserves. So in reserve, I have my 2 Terror Marine units, and they're outflanking. And then I also have my Combi Class Terminators, they'll be deep striking. And that is my reserves. Ben's declared he wants to go first. I'd like to steal the initiative, so let's try and roll it up live.
We're doing it live.
Right here. No, it's a 3. So I'll be going second. We'll see at the end of Iron Warrior Sons of the Sigillite turn 1.
Iron Warriors, turn 1. And yeah, let's just start over here. So my Rhino moved up approximately 12 inches and the guy stayed inside. The Tartaros Terminators moved up to be in range of the objective. They all moved about 6. My leader, who is here, moved from here 12 inches, another 18 or so to 24 to power zoom over there. The quad guns, the reason they stayed still is they engaged with the Sakaran putting a hull point on it, I want to say.
Yeah.
So not terrible. Those shadow rounds are useful. Back here, my laser Vindicator also fired at the Sakaran, but didn't have any real luck. The Terminators that here and the dreadnought moved up. The dreadnought also ran another couple feet. I re-rolled it, but got 2 instead of 1.
Yeah, 2 feet.
All 2 feet. The Medusa also engaged with the Sakaran, but scattered wide, landing just off the board. Moving down, this unit was here. They drove out and then moved another 6 in the movement phase to be where they are. Ran through this wall here. The Whirlwind Scorpius engaged with the Contemptor. and I think it put a couple hull points.
Yeah, it did both hull points and it shook it.
Not bad. The Rhino that was here was actually parked here, kind of like maneuvered back and rammed through to take the place of this one. And then lastly, the Sabres moved up. They took a pretty good position to give them some cover from the ruin, and then they put their guns onto the Contemptor, but unfortunately, Cleary made some good cover saves there, I think, from Night Fight.
Yeah, from the bottom.
Right, yeah, it was a mixture of cover and the Night Fight.
Yeah, and poor luck with the melted guns.
Exactly. So, no first blood, not a terrible turn, but I like my positioning, so we'll see you at the end of Night Lord's turn 1.
Night Lord's turn 1, we'll start over here. Spartan moved up 6, busted through some of the barricades, and made it safely because of the dozer blade. Machine speared both guns into the Scorpius, did 2 hull points, and importantly stunned it so it's not shooting its blast weapon next turn. The Dreadnought moved up 6, snap fired into the Sabres because of the shaken result. I think I did it missed with everything.
Yeah.
Missed with everything completely. The Sakaran moved 6, so I could shoot its guns. I guess I could have moved 12 to get a little closer. I shot at the Vindicator. The last cannon passed its cover save, but I did manage to sneak a Ren through from the top gun and immobilized it, so it's locked shooting at my Sakaran for the rest of the game, which is pretty funny. Both the land speeders moved over. They both shot at the Medusa, and I managed to do 2 hull points to it and shake that as well. So, nothing, didn't kill anything, but like I did suppress a lot of the firepower, which
And
really
your Dread's back there.
The Dread moved back, yeah, in case there's some shenanigans coming from the character that wants to snipe something. So hopefully that'll deter things, maybe even the land speeders if they flank over here. That's all kind of the combat from my phase. Knife fight did continue on, I rolled a 4, so it's going over to turn 2, so it's going to be extra annoying. And other than that, that's Night Lord turn 1.
Iron Warriors, Sons of the Sigillite, turn 2. And my reserves came in, so I'm going to start there over here. One of my speeders outflanked ended up on this edge. It came in as you saw, and it engaged with Clarence's dreadnought, and I think I put 2 hull points.
You did 1, but you immobilized it.
I immobilized it, so it's a very good hull point.
Yeah.
Over here, my Terminators moved up a little bit more. My guys disembarked here, the tacticals, so these Terminators engaged with a javelin that was there, and then the Praetor charged in and finished it off. These Terminators moved up and engaged with that javelin that is jinking. Laser Vindicator put, I think, the final kills?
Nope.
Or, no, what did it?
It was those guys.
So combined efforts of Laser Vindy and these guys put the final kill on Clarence's Sakaran.
Yeah.
My tacticals that were in this Rhino moved up there and just kind of chilled. The Dreadnought moved up here 6, and I think he also attempted on the Sakaran but didn't have much luck. The Medusa was out of action for the turn because it was
shaken.
Similarly with my
Scorpius
couldn't do anything. These guys got out of their Rhino, just kind of chilling at the objectives. The Sabres moved 12 and another 12 because they're fast vehicles to be there because they didn't have much targeting. And over here, my other reserves came in on this flank, the Squadron of Javelins, and they engaged with the Dreadnought with Twin Carriers and got first blood. So, pretty good turn 2. Feeling a little bit better about this game. And we'll see you at the end of Night Lord's turn 2 and their reserves.
This is the end of Night Lord turn 2. All 3 of my reserves came in. We'll kind of start it down over here. So both Terra Marine units flunked onto this side. I rolled the 1 and the 2 for both of them. And my Terminators deep struck there. They scattered it back a bit, but still pretty cool position.
No dangerouses.
Nope.
What are we starting?
I guess we're going to start back over here. So, the Terra Marines came in, they Volkited the back, knocked down 1 javelin, then they
tried jinking, it didn't help.
Yeah. They charged and melted bomb the second one. It exploded, didn't wound any of them.
A reminder to our viewers, that's because we play with Fear the Flanks. They can assault from reserve.
Yeah, much like 5th and 2nd edition. These guys, they moved 6 and they ran another 3 because of Night Fight. I rolled 2, but whatever. My Spartan drove up 6, disgorged the lads, but it itself shot at a variety of targets. It tried shooting the Scorpius, Ben passed his cover save. It was a 2-up because of the sides and all that. But it also shot the Contemptor. It exploded that, which was, pretty lucky.
And took a Terminator with it.
Yeah, it killed the Terminator too. I guess, going back to the Terminators real fast, they charged in the sabres. They destroyed one and exploded the second one. Failed to wound all of them, or any of them as well. So that's 2 big explosions that just failed to wound any of my guys. These Terminators, they combi plasma the Medusa. Just like
that's 2 turns in a row, by the way.
Yeah,
2 games in a row.
2 games in a row. They hunted the Medusa down.
MVP.
Well, they're kind of in the thick of things right now. My land speeder that had jinked moved and then turbo boosted to kind of draw some attention.
Yeah, so he was here and then
yeah. And then, he's kind of in the middle of things. They're kind of annoying to melee down, but there is some quad guns right in the way. And then the last thing that happened this turn was my plasma gunners moved up the level. They rapid fired down at the last javelin.
They saved their dreadnought.
Yeah, they saved the dreadnought that can't do anything. And then they exploded that as well. So lots of vehicle deaths on both sides.
Good back and forth.
Yeah, it's definitely good back and forth. And we'll see kind of how it goes. Because Ben's got a lot of stuff. And I have a bit more of an elite army. But we'll see at the end of Iron Warriors, Son of the Sigillite turn 3.
Iron Warriors, Sons of the Sigillite turn 3. And interesting turns starting over here. So these termies kind of moved up conga line to stay close to the objective. The back one fired its plasma blaster, and I think it took this guy out.
Yeah. Oh, no.
It was these guys, right?
Yeah.
So he failed. The quad guns targeted the javelin, and I think it did so many shots he just couldn't jing his way out of it.
Yeah, I failed the 2 that...
Yeah, he made 9 or 6 of them, right, or something? Made quite a few.
Yeah, it was quite a lot.
Just couldn't dance enough. These guys still chilling on the objective. This Rhino drove 12 to break the wall of sandbags, just to help the charge for the dreadnoughts or the Terminators. And it also snap fired the Terminators that are there. Combined charge from the leader on the jet bike and the Terminators killed the 3 remaining enemy Terminators. It was just the leader, I think, went right in with the blade. This guy, he tried to engage the wreck of the Sicaran just for the fun of it. Couldn't do anything. These guys just chilled in their Rhino near the objective. Down here in my turn, because they were still in base contact with the wreck of the Saber, so clearly engaged that wreck, it blew up, and in turn he lost the Dreadnought, but he's got a clear path now. Terminator, sorry. Keep saying Dreadnought. He's got a clear path there to the objective, and of course the charge. My Whirlwind fired at these guys. I got 9 hits on the unit, but they were all starting on the Sergeant with a 2+ save. Clearly made 8 out of 9 2+ saves, so the very last one killed him. Not terrible. Over here, I guess they could have attacked if they wanted to.
Yeah.
For no reason, because it's giving them cover. So, yeah, not bad turn. Everyone's reserves are in, so it's kind of anyone's game. We'll see you at the end of Night Lord's turn 3. Oh, and night ended, so there's no more night. Night fight is over.
Mm-hmm.
Night Lord's turn 3. Starting down over here, my plasma support just moved and ran to try and kind of get into position where I get whacked by the Praetor. My Terminators moved this way, rapid fired into the back of the Rhino, tried to charge it. I failed my charge. My Spartan shot at his Terminator unit. Hilariously, the heavy bolter did as much damage as the last can, so it killed a couple off. Kind of whittling them down. Savitar charged in. He got his power off and he charged into the Whirlwind Scorpius and killed it. My Terror Marine squad shot into his tacticals. I killed 4, including a sergeant, which was pretty surprising. But he killed 1 back from Overwatch and I failed the charge. And then over here, my other Terror Marine squad moved and ran as well. So I'm kind of running out of stuff. But we'll see how it looks at the end of Iron Warriors turn 4.
Iron Warriors, Sons of the Sigillite, turn 4. Starting over here. So they lingered next to the objective with the intent to score it, but the Terminators that were conga lining moved up to form a bit of a barrier between me and those plasma dudes. These guys got out of their transport, again, because there's an objective in the building. Terminators came around the statue and fired at the Terminator unit that was here. I think they killed one.
Yep.
And then they fled. I charged the fleeing unit with my leader, and they failed their leadership, so they got cut down. Sevatar attacked the wreck of the Scorpius, blew it up, and took out a Marine here. What else can I say? I tried to target those Terror Marines running down the street with the quad guns, but scattered wide, and I think they didn't hit.
Yeah.
So, pretty decent position, although my one objective is very much in threat because of Sevatar and the Terror Marines. And that tank is still alive, so we'll see you at the end of end of Night Lord's turn 4.
End of Night Lord turn 4, starting down there. I shot and charged him with my Terror Marines. In combat, he killed one, I killed one to combat. Sevatar moved, tried to get his power off, failed. Tried to charge the wreck there.
It didn't hurt it?
Yeah, it didn't hurt it, but just to get some extra movement and not end in line of sight of the big laser cannon. I moved the Spartan up, split fired, killed a Terminator, knocked a wound off of the leader, and then my other Terror Marine squad moved up, shot at the leader, knocked one wound off, deflagrate, he deflected it, but he's down to 1, so it's a little better. And then finally, down here, my plasma gunner shot, one overheated and died. The unit failed the leadership test, they fell back off the board.
But they killed the sergeant for the Terminator.
Yeah, they killed the sergeant, but really not looking good for me, but we'll see at the end of Iron Warriors turn 5.
It is the end of Iron Warriors, Sons of the Sigillite turn 5, and kind of the end of the game-ish. There's still, I guess, one more turn.
Yeah. It's
Over here, these guys spread out to look cooler if I happen to take a photograph. These guys engaged with Sevatar, wounded him, I want to say, like 7 times.
7, yeah.
And he shrugged off every single one like a badass, just kept getting up. And then Sevatar attacked the wreck for no reason, just because he could hurt a Terminator, and didn't work out. But he killed the wreck. These guys are sitting on the objective, pretty much in their control. Over here, we fought a combat. I just won it by the skin of my teeth with one guy left, consolidated on the objective. So that's like total clutch bullshit. Over here, lastly, my leader charged the remaining 4 Terror Marines. I killed 3. His sergeant struck back, but then they ended up running, so cut them down.
Wah, wah.
Wah wah. So our final score is I got first blood, and I believe I hold 3 objectives. So that's 7, I want to say.
Yeah, it would be 7, but
I don't think I have line breaker or anything. Cleary, you have.
well, on my turn, I would go to
move
kill
in.
this guy. Boop.
Yeah.
With Sevatar, he would die.
Right.
And then I would try to kill your leader with my Tankus. So I would try to get a
Let's do it live.
salvage a 1.
Let's do it live.
Okay, well,
You're
it's
going this way,
hard
right?
for me. Yeah, okay.
6 inches?
Yeah,
Okay, so he's there.
it's rolling in hot.
So you're charging?
No, I'm gonna activate my psychic power because
I'll let you.
we're doing this. This is the first ever live gameplay of our game.
Ever.
So you get 4 dice for the psychic power.
Okay.
I get it off with 1. You roll 1 6. Okay, it's
Okay, so
off.
it goes
It's off.
off.
Okay.
Psychic power
sorry.
active.
I'm gonna move the Tankus too
Yeah.
to shoot your lad.
All right,
Okay.
my leader. Okay.
Yeah. So the tank is gonna shoot your guy now.
Yep. Let's get that victory point.
Yeah. Quad las cannons coming up. I'll hit.
Yep.
Okay, gets 3 on your guy.
All right, so I got to make all 3 of these 4+ saves,
Yeah.
correct?
But now
Damn
that, now that you've seen you failed one, you can use the evade reaction to get. Yeah. Okay.
So you just got Warlord.
Yeah. Okay. So he's
Good.
dead.
With your Warlord, right?
Well, no, with
Tankus-
his
Tankus.
ride, with his
Right.
very cool ride.
Okay, so it's now 6. Or you're gonna charge this guy, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna shoot him with his crack grenade pistol.
Yeah.
Hits.
Yeah.
Wounds. Okay.
Good.
So now I'm gonna
Charging.
charge him.
Okay. Overwatch with the Crack Grenadus.
Yeah.
Misses.
Yeah. So I rolled this 8. He gets in. We can basically pull your guy. Ba ba ba.
See if you
I
fuck
have
it
5
up.
attacks. So 5 attacks hit. There. Yeah. He's dead as
He's
fuck.
dead.
Yeah.
So the final score is I have first blood and 2 objectives.
Yeah.
So that would be 7.
Yeah.
Cleary just took me off that 1 objective you just saw, and he just took out my leader, who is still there, but he's dead. So that is
7-1.
7-1. But hey, it could have been 10-0.
Yeah.
So not bad.
Oh, well.
Good game. We'll see you in the post-game show.
Sure, yeah.
Well, in the post-game show, you totally watched us play through 2,500 points of
Second.
second of first edition 40K or 30K.
Yeah.
And you didn't fast forward because you're good people. So, fun game. Clary, give me your MVP.
It's got to be the tank.
Big boy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, reliable. The last cannons do a number. They rarely miss. And Heavy Bolter pulled the twin.
Yeah.
Me, I would have to say my leader.
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty good at just kind of picking up the scrap. Died in the end, but worth it.
Yeah, no, definitely compared to the last game where he like charged in, he whiffed, and then died.
Yeah, I kind of just got off the wrong foot. What was your epic fail?
Shit.
If there is one.
I'm sure there's one. Probably the dreadnought getting immobilized. With the...
Yeah, his homies having to come to his aid, but he kept him alive.
Yeah, like I would just say them because they. Maybe it's the Terminators that they like did stuff even
They
though
took out Big Boy.
petered out in the end. Like
they got their points like almost back with one.
no, I'm the other ones that.
Oh
fell back.
yes, yeah. I killed the sabers.
I think it was this Terminator or this dreadnought.
Yeah, because you still have time to get in there.
Yeah, you just got immobilized right off the bat.
Mine is probably Medusa, just cause whiff.
Yeah.
And,
Dead.
dead. So, yeah, it was a very interesting game. It was going good for me, but you had like a good comeback. I think turn 2, turn 3 a little bit, and then.
Yeah, turn 2 definitely. Turn 3 was a little rough. If I'm trying to remember what happened exactly. Yeah, turn 3 is like the failed charge with the Terminators kind of sucked. Obviously,
Losing the last speeder too didn't help.
losing the last speeder always sucks. Just like not getting the charge with the Terra Marines on that turn, doing like a couple of things. Like they weren't big, and it was already kind of angling downhill anyways. Like the main thing that was wrong was my deployment. I should have had the Spartan over here to kind of control around 2 objectives instead of way over there because it was one.
Yeah, the split fire machine spirit would have been kind of interesting.
Yeah, I just like you have the Spartan, you have to kind of like block off that with its movement.
Yeah.
And so the turn the people could have gone that way directly, and the dreadnought and kind of some other stuff. And over there it's just like one objective.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a little better, though. Like I still have
Yeah,
to deal with your barrage, so that's still.
But I don't have much that threatens it really. Like the Medusa could hurt it, but it's like.
No, I just in general like if I don't kill your barrage, barrage is the stuff that's on the floor.
Yeah, it's the stuff that keeps into the roofs.
Yeah, so. No, it is what it is.
Good game.
Yeah.
Good game. Yeah, definitely gonna pull the Medusa, but I don't know what else I would change. Maybe take one less speeder. See if I can kind of finagle with that.
Yeah.
Replace the Medusa with our laser Vindicator perhaps. I was happy with the Sabres this game. They didn't do. They put a couple of hull points on a contemptor, and then they kind of
passed them. Like they kind of.
Oh right, yeah. I guess
they blocked some movement, which is helpful.
Yeah, being able to move 12 and then 12 again if they don't shoot's interesting. Because they managed to stall the Terminators for a turn by kind of blocking their charge. They fit very well together, like they fit like almost perfectly kind of. That's fun for blocking line of sight. Yeah, as far as all I can say for this game, what else can we talk about in the realm of we could discuss how Horus Heresy 1 versus 2, or you've been playing 2, you can tell us how you like it, or.
I mean, like, it's very similar. At the end of the day, it's basically preference. Do you prefer more vehicles, like with speeders and dreadnoughts being vehicles? Like, do you prefer kind of more suppression, which is what second gives you with like lots of pinning, lots of that kind of thing, like the deep strike and the outflank charges and that. Like, do you like reactions? Well, if the answer is like know you don't like your game flow being broken up, then probably not going to
Do you like reroll saves and dreadnoughts and terminators?
I mean, I had rerollable saves on Scimitar this game, so
Sure,
like it can appear all over the place. But yeah, like the blast weapon interaction is kind of janky.
Well, the meta would appear to be, and this is anecdotal, but I'm gonna base this not even on people's words, on like the pictures of battles.
Yeah.
But a common thread I'm seeing is like, I'd love it if my buddy didn't always have 5 dreadnoughts. I'm seeing photos of like triple Leviathan lists with 2 contemptors. I'm like, this is the friend list.
I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. I think the standard is 3 contemptors.
That's still very good.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. So, like it's still quite good. Or like 2 in a Leviathan.
It's just again, other thing, it's not just that. Like obviously you're not seeing a lot of heavy weapons because the good plastic, like the last cannon boxes.
Yeah, it's not
at least. So, but like you see people, even people remodeling stuff in anticipation. So someone posted, I think 3 of the old Forge World Predators, like before the plastics, right? But of course, it's like the triple melta cannons. Not
very
bad,
good.
right? Like,
it's very
and that
good.
picture, unfortunately, he had 3 of those and 2 Leviathans. So it's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the melta cannons are really, really good. They gave it a very long range for some reason.
The other thing is Mechanicum weirdly kind of bucking the trend, at least with one of the tanks on the AP3 front. So cynically, people
the crack nose.
Yeah, cynically people were like, "Oh, that's gonna get plastic." I'm not saying it is, but like it would be funny if that ended up being the case.
I mean, honestly, having owned Mechanicum for like a number of years, I'd like it to get plastic in the Trior's hull because those things are like bricks to carry around.
They're just so expensive.
Like like if you don't have a car, you have to like take the bus with your whatever. It's like it weighs a ton if you have like a few of them in your case, or like have it slung over the shoulder. You get to the place, you're just like, oh my god, like my shoulder, it's like a few inches lower. Like
I'm gonna make sure we're still recording.
Yeah.
There was some reactions, I think, regardless of how it feels about them, that needed facking, and some of them were big ones, like say Overwatch.
The sequence all.
Yeah, we're still recording.
The sequence is very jumbled. The wording's terrible. Like there's, I think there's a good enough argument that it's supposed to work the way it's always worked, but it's really terribly worded.
Yeah.
There's things like if your Xiphon is in combat air patrol, which is kind of like an interdiction mode. If you don't bring it in and they only have one flyer, like if you don't bring it in to react to their flyer, it just basically dies. It gets stuck there forever.
Yeah, someone found the language of even this. It would appear that even the stuff that does not use a reaction, you still can't have burned your last reaction, or else like that's your only intercept.
Yeah, if you use all of your points, you can't do any more reactions. Period. So it's like in that scenario with your flyer. Let's say I have a flyer and deep strikers.
Yeah.
Ben has 2 units with augury scanners, and he has a Xiphon. I roll for my flyer first. It comes in. Now Ben has to make the choice. Does he spend his 1 reaction point to bring in his flyer, but now not intercept the future deep strikers because he has 0? Or does he leave that so he gets the free intercept, but his Xiphon dies because it can't ever come in?
Good job.
Yeah, there's arguments about whether zooming flyers coming in from reserve even can trigger interceptor. There's all sorts of wonkiness throughout the rules. Mixed initiative units consolidating which initiative is used. It doesn't say. It says for every kind of other circumstance.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't say for that.
Certain books have different printouts, I believe, on how
the
characters and infiltrate work or something.
Yeah, so if you got the Age of Darkness box, like almost everyone did, so you could start playing and building right away. The book has different rules, definitely in the independent character and infiltrate.
It's a premium quality product.
However, the standalone, the special edition, and the EPUB all have a separate version of the rules, which
Yeah.
there is an actual rules difference. I know some people believe there isn't. There is.
Thanks, W.
So, like, you know, obviously you can spawn and be like, hey, there's a difference, but, like, what else is different? Like, I haven't, like, I'm pretty, like, reading the rules, but I don't have the time to go through with, you know, my EPUB in one hand, because that's what I have, and then, like, my Age of Darkness book in the other, and kind of, like, try and be like, is this,
on that point, Mr. Circle did a good video where he's got the old book and the new books.
Yeah.
He's trying to show how long it takes to find some stuff. And in some instances he had rehearsed, like he knew the page he had to get to, and even with that, he's like, it's showing you just how far apart things that you would think would have some like relation. Or between books, right? Like one book sends you to the other kind of thing. Like
there's just stuff that doesn't need to be like that. Like you'll have an entry that has like, this is the page, the entry goes to here, you have like 2/3 of a page of blank space, and it's like, oh, like, what does its war gear do? It only appears on this unique model. Time to flip it to like the war gear, or if it has a special rule that's past the war gear. But if it's a weapon, it goes special rules, weapons, war gear in terms of order. So it's like
the old way flowed a little better.
Well, like, you know, Fury of the Legion only ever appears on the tactical squad, so that's in the tactical squad status sheet. Like, it's pretty simple shit. It's formatting kind of 101.
What else can we mention? There's the Mechanicum preview. Goonhammer did a write-up of that, which is weird. It's weird that they would support a game they feel is deeply transphobic. Just saying. Anyway.
People, you know, like, I'm not an entrepreneur, right? So I can't really speak to the mindset.
Of course not.
But if people were just still willing to give me stuff for free, you know, maybe my morals...
We should start sending GW transphobic letterheads on a weekly basis to see how much free stuff they'll send us.
But yeah, they did a review, kind of painted a grim picture that honestly isn't surprising given how they changed some of the other rules that were pretty oppressive in first edition. Looks like a lot of things are bad. Is the best way to put it. Lots of things are bad. People were afraid of Catholics being the next dreadnoughts. They were like not in any way. They're pretty shitty. Armigers maybe.
They're interesting when they can get swept, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, they can fall back, they can get swept. Talking about things that need to be fact, none of the rules that deal with vehicles, dreadnoughts, or automata deal with armigers as a unit type. So armigers are immune to crack grenades, they're immune to melted bombs. They don't get affected by anything that is Monster Hunter, which isn't a lot. So, they don't get affected by Haywire. They don't get affected by the Iron Warriors trait.
Worth mentioning, really, although there's a million sub-factions of Marines for all the legions, it's really one.
Yeah, the Legion.
Legion list. So this is the second faction that's like its own thing, and I don't know. Like, it's...
not written at the same time as the rest, obviously.
But it's showing you the problem with the bespoke keyword stuff. You're not making overarching concepts. Like, that's vehicle, that's organic. No, you're just saying, you don't have the keyword, so it's its own special, unique snowflake unit, and welcome to bespoke rule writing. Welcome to, like, did it need to have its own unit type?
Definitely not.
I don't think so.
I feel like everyone's like, or not everyone, the designers...
I think you can almost count your blessings they didn't try and pull that shit with knights and say they're not a vehicle. Like,
yeah. No, that being said...
Give them time, right?
That being said, I didn't read the knight rules because they don't really belong in the game. People own next to G.I. Joes. But I'm sure there's some silliness with the knight rules.
Well, that's the other thing, too, because there used to be its own list, right? And it is its own list, I guess, in the book.
Yeah.
So we could say it's 3 factions now. There's Knights, Mechanicum, and... Technically, or is it still a subset?
No, there's 2 factions. There's Mechanicum, and then there's Knights as like.
Okay, so there's 3 total factions then.
Yeah, in the game. Yeah, in the Marines.
Okay. Knights, I don't even think it's worth getting into in either edition because I just think that's like, in 40k or 30k it was always the guy who could double his money, right? Well, I can run Knights in both.
Yeah.
I don't have to repaint anything. Okay. I do like that they're making the Armigers kind of. The troops and the mainline stuff, but they should have done that in 1.0 to even make them remotely palatable because it's like just doesn't make any sense.
Knights just were never fun to play against.
Not
Because either it's like, oh, fuck, like Knights, they move 12 and they charge me and they have D-weapons and stomps, which are like even more dumb.
One was tolerable. Like when you had your big guy,
Yeah.
he was at least the focal point. He was tall enough through Saras's size. He
Yeah.
wasn't hiding from anything. One was tolerable, but like playing it as a faction, I still remember watching you play them at one of the events, and it was just like, what is this?
Oh, yeah.
It's just there's no train on the board to begin with, and it's just you basically running into
The mission
stomp.
was terrible,
The
yeah.
mission is not even relevant at that point.
But yeah, it's like the very fast move, the high armor, the invul that's backing it up. It's like the pressure is extremely high. And then it's like, okay, like, or you're like, you know what? There might be Knights at this event. I'm going to make sure I have enough anti-tank. And you have enough. And it's like, okay, they're dead. You had a terrible time now. Like, I didn't have it. It's now reversed. So it wasn't really fun either way.
The silver lining is always as we get new plastics, but Horus Heresy 2.0, not for me really. Maybe one day. Doubt
I
it.
mean, what, you...
Doubt it very
I'm
much.
just mad that you didn't buy enough to show your big haul
Of course,
on
yeah.
Instagram or TikTok.
I've been calling second edition the Dreadnought Mary Sue edition, and I know that bothers people, which is why I do it. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I do think, again, to reference Mr. Circle, and it is something people notice, you go and you build your cool Praetor, and you know, what, we give him this, and we give him a Paragon, you know, all your points are adding up. And then you go and you look at your Contemptors.
Cool Contemptor.
Your Leviathans, you're just like, you look at the points, like not even, like you look at the points, then you look at the stats, you look at the points, you're like, what is this? Like, to me, even if I was play second, I'd be like building probably like a nothing HQ just to get that extra 8th Dreadnought in or whatever, you know?
Yeah, you could do that. There's a couple things you could do with
The obnoxious
Praetor.
Iron Warrior lists of just like Tyrant Siege Terminators and Dreadnoughts.
The
Like,
dreaded, the much stronger Fulminteris that apparently fan people like to...
I still love that idea of like almost every unit you shoot at, they can do the react shoot back with something silly, so it's just sort of like, I'm just not going to shoot.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of people are lamenting. It's like, you have a unit, you know, like Assault Marines, Deep Strikes, doesn't pin shit. You're like, oh, like, they have bolt pistols, why not shoot? It's like, well, you're not going to shoot because you're going to get, like, a hail of return fire. So it's, like, worthless to shoot. Which means, like, great, like, you're speeding up the shooting phase by making it, like...
One thing that was funny, I think, was we I'll say collectively, we predicted that, like, one of the reaction problems will be the big games, the, like, 2v2s, 4v4s,
Yeah.
the big, like, APOC games. I think we kind of already seen that because they're limiting the reactions in total, but it's still a nightmare because someone on each side has to be, like, the guy communicating with the other players on who's used what yet.
Yeah.
Because you're in a long board, right? Like, you are playing, you know, your turn and my turn and all that shit, but it's, like, a lot going on in 8x4 or 12x4 or whatever it is. So there's still those problems of, like, oh, no, you can't duck anymore.
Yeah, you literally have to do it.
They ran out of ducking, and it's like, this
You
is...
literally have to do it one at a time,
Yeah.
which defeats the point of a multiplayer game because...
And it's funny to see Anuj of all people alter the rules. They're your rules,
That
man!
wasn't
They're
bad.
your rules!
Yeah. Isn't the only thing he altered.
Yeah, well, that's the story.
Like, victory points for just buying the newest plastic stuff.
Someone still holds stock options, I see. It's probably true, anyway.
Yeah, why would you not? Right?
If we keep going, I'll just get more and more negatives. What else can we say, Clarence, before it cuts off?
It's fun playing 30k because, as I mentioned at the start, they're pretty much the same. So it's fun playing second edition.
And as we said, you could still learn a bit from how we do ruins or terrain or rules, because it's all pretty bog standard.
I mean, it's slightly less important now that barrage and blast weapons might as well not exist.
It's funny too, because if they are referencing 7th, and like, again, that's why they made everything suck, because the giant pillars of destruction. But anyway, thanks for watching. We might do more. Maybe this will get no views because everyone will turn it off and figure out it's first edition 40k or 30k. Maybe no one will care. I mean, if you like the models and you like the table,
I mean,
I
if you
hope
like the
stay
game,
and
it's
watch.
still pretty much the same.
It is pretty much, but like even some people notice from the write-ups from the one we did last time, the photos, like, hey, they're playing first. It's like, and so like, there's literally people who don't want you posting photos if you tell them it's from a first edition game. Like, how do you know?
Shout out to Anuj again.
Thanks, Anuj. You're pillar of the community, buddy.
Not allowed to talk about first and groups about
Crusade and Heresy, the place where everyone goes to complain about their anxiety. Anyway, thank you for watching, and continue doing so.
Yeah.
Gods of war, may your hammer be mighty.